Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining me. So today, guys, well, actually, I've just been running. That's why I'm a little bit late, and I'm eating. I've just realised that I'm eating a protein bar that's like 2 years past its sell-by date. But I don't care. I'm rock and roll. Anyway, guys, so what I want to talk about today is Britain and the likelihood of the UK falling into a civil war. Now, obviously, there's a film out in the United States, and it's kind of ambiguous as to why that civil war happens, but it has to be. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is the earliest possibility that I see this happening. Although unlikely, I do see it as a possibility, and I'm going to give you the reasons for this. And the main reason is financial instability and the and the rise of secular voting in our political system. So before we begin, guys, please give us a like and a follow and a subscribe. Really helps us out when you do that. And we've got 2 platforms now, guys. All right. I've just been running, and Sarah had the camera in my face. So if you want to see me running for whatever reason, go check out our other platform. And if you're there from there, then give us a thumbs up and throw us a comment. So, first of all, guys, the main reason that one of the main contributing factors to a civil war in the UK, I feel, would be the financial burden that we're all feeling. I feel that we really have dodged a bullet in the sense that we've not had a cold winter in Europe since Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Now, the reason that's had such a dramatic effect on, internal policy is because we haven't had to put our heating up as high as we normally would. And that's had a knock-on effect, and it's really calmed things down. But I'm really worried that in the event of a harsh winter, a really cold and prolonged winter, people would really struggle to heat their homes. They'd struggle to put food on the table. And when that happens, I think it was, I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something in the Communist Manifesto. When people can't afford food, when people can't afford places to live, that's when these big revolutions happen. So that's one of the main reasons, guys. And another one of the main reasons I see for a potential of a civil war is secular voting. Now, the reason I feel it's really dangerous to do that is because once you start voting on a secular matter, it doesn't really matter who you're voting for. You're voting for a person, not what they stand for. And again, guys, I totally accept the arguments with, politics at the moment in the UK. It feels like we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. And what's the point in voting? But unfortunately, that's the system we've got. So as we move forwards, then I feel the earliest point for a civil war in the UK would be after the election in 2024. That could if we see huge secular voting in 2024, that's just going to drive a wedge between all our communities. The police, we've already seen from previous, I think I did a video yesterday or the day before, go and check it out, on, the incident with the Jewish guy who is being, quote unquote, openly Jewish, and he was going to get arrested for being openly Jewish. Now, the thing that I find chilling about that video is that the policeman said, "There's too many of them, we can't protect you." Now, that's not how a police force should work. It shouldn't matter whether there's one person or a million. Those police officers should be able to protect us as taxpayers, or why are we even paying tax? And I think the tacit implications of that statement are that the protesters are in the right to attack you. We understand that we can't protect you, and we accept as a police force we are helpless. That's kind of the tacit implications of his statement. Now, whether he meant that or not, it's a different story. But they're the implications that he's saying by making that statement. And it is really it's a terrifying concept. Now, I used to work in the Middle East all over. I used to work in, most recently, Iraq and Syria. And one of the things I always had to do when before or after a vote, I'd have to, give the guys a couple of days off because there'd be so much violence after a vote. Because if the guys, if one, what do I want to, how do I want to, if one party didn't get the vote and somebody else's party got the vote, then there'd be trouble, there'd be violence, they'd go to his house, and it was absolute carnage. And if we have that on the streets of the UK, which I really do feel is a possibility on this election, look what's happened with this guy. What's the guy with the hat? I can't remember his name. Scottish guy. George Galloway. So George Galloway stood on an election in the UK. He didn't use any British flags on his leaflet. He used the Palestine flag. And, I'm not criticising anybody who's got views on Palestine. What I'm saying is, this was the United Kingdom. This was Great Britain. And to use another country's flag as part of your promotion, it just strikes me as very strange. So this next election that's coming, are we going to see an increase in, people using other countries' flags to represent their vote in this country? Sounds, it's so dystopian, and I struggle to contemplate it. But, I think that's what's going to happen. Now, if there's a big majority win in some of these regions, then that's just going to cause, it's going to cause problems between, it's going to drive a wedge down the communities. Couple that with a hard winter, cost of living crisis, then that is when I really see these tensions building, because people won't have anything to lose. And when you've got nothing to lose, you don't care. And that's why I feel this could really drive forwards. And at the very earliest, we could be looking at, a potential civil war as early in the UK, as early as 20 January 2025, if the weather is really cold and people are struggling. What I've got here, guys, as well is a price. I'll put the links to this in the description. But what I've got here, guys, is a cost of living analysis, and it's comparing the cost of living in the UK and the cost of living in Poland. Yes, I understand, salaries in the UK are better, but are they that better? Are they that much better? We don't know. So what I'm going to compare here, guys, is so an average family of four, estimated monthly living costs are £2,730. Now that seems a lot to me. And that's without rent. So once you put rent on top of that, you can be looking at like £4,000 a month just to live. Now that is literally, that is like an average salary. If two parents were working, that is an average salary. So who's looking after the kids? Where are they going for? I think that's the main one, because the children are the future. And if you look at look what's just happened in Wales, if you look at the degeneration, the degenerativeness of our children at the moment as they're moving forwards, doing crazy stuff, knife crime, all this, online beating people up. It's absolutely crazy. And it's easy to say, where are the parents? But here it is. Both parents are having to work, so who's there to look after the kids? The internet. And, the internet's a terrible place to raise your children. So that's, average price of living in the UK. Obviously, some places will be higher, some places will be lower. Now, the cost of living is 48% higher in the UK than it is in Poland. Also, the cost of rent on average is 55% higher in the UK than it is in Poland. So, you kind of see this now, and you're seeing that, parents are unable to look after their children. And again, all this is going to feed into this narrative that, disconnected families, disconnected communities, wedges, divided communities. And all this feeds into this narrative. And it really could be the case that January 2025, we could be looking at a case where things are so fractured, have gone so far out of control in the UK that we could be actually looking at a civil war. Now, the things to look for are going to be the secular voting in this election, whenever the election's going to be, and if we have a really cold winter. Because this energy crisis, it's not going away. It's not going away. We've just, you know, we've just avoided it because we've had relatively warm winters, which has obviously, you know, kept reserves up. People haven't had to spend more money on energy heating their homes, which means they've had to spend, what was that? Which means they've had more money to spend on themselves, on their children. But guys, you know, it's absolutely terrifying. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll be posting tomorrow. You guys are absolutely great. And thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow.